Let's kick it. Atlanta Soccer Tonight is live on 92.9 The Game and the Audacy app. Hopefully, a lot of you are tuning in after being at Atlanta Stadium, or as we like to call it when the World Cup is not in town, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, for a historic night. The first ever World Cup win for DR Congo. They were trailing, and they flipped the result to qualify for the round of 32, and they get to stick around a while because they're playing England on Wednesday. So many things. This was such a cool atmosphere tonight in Atlanta. It felt like about a 50-50 split between Uzbekistan fans and DR Congo fans and neutrals as well, although the neutrals were in small numbers in this one. These are the things that make the summer so special, and a summer that, honestly, I don't know if any of us are ever really going to forget. You don't want to jinx it because you never know how the knockout round goes, and it almost feels like a separate event entirely. But this has been such a glorious World Cup. If you love this game, if you love getting a chance to interact with different cultures, if you love getting a chance to learn about different cultures, seeing different kinds of soccer played, if you just love events like this, this is about as good as it's ever been. It's been so special. And the last two games in Atlanta have been some of the most unique sporting events I've ever been to, honestly. I'd never been to a World Cup match before this World Cup. I didn't get a chance to go in 1994. Wasn't really all that close to us and didn't have the money to get tickets even back then. Haven't been able to travel to a World Cup before. These are the first games I've seen. And the first couple of games were a little different, where it felt more one-sided in terms of the attendance. Spain, obviously, huge crowd, although Cabo Verde had a great turnout. Czechia, South Africa was much more the way of South Africa. Spain and Saudi Arabia, the Saudis were loud, but it was much more in the way of Spain. These last two, Morocco and Haiti, and this one tonight, Uzbekistan and DR Congo, two games that I know a lot of people had a lot of thoughts about, and I know a lot of people threw off a lot of hot takes and made a lot of hot predictions, and they were all proved to be wrong. And it's okay to put your hand up if you're one of those folks. It's totally okay. Fans from and fans representing Morocco and Haiti and DR Congo and Uzbekistan showed up in Atlanta in a huge way in these last 2 days. Let's talk about the soccer on the field. This was frantic. Uzbekistan came in. They needed to win by 6 to get to the knockout round. Is it possible? Yeah. Is it likely? Absolutely not. They scored almost in the first minute, which would have made it more likely. That was taken back due to VAR. They got it back, though, pretty quick. A great finish from Eldor Shomurodov. And Uzbekistan had the lead. DR Congo thought they had equalized it 8 minutes later. A foul in the buildup. I didn't love that call because it was a 50-50 decision, and the referee had a great look at it initially and decided not to give the foul. It felt like a little bit of re-refereeing. Like, can you justify the decision to call a foul there? Absolutely. It's an arm back towards the player's face. There was contact. I don't think it was intentional, but it's a judgment call, and the referee had a look at it and didn't give it during real time and then gave it after seeing it. Those are the interventions from VAR that I'm not the biggest fan of, but it's not an incorrect call. It's a judgment call. DR Congo at halftime had twice as many shots as Uzbekistan, but nothing to show for it. Second half, it turned the other way. Yohan Wissa, centering pass to him near the penalty spot. Abdulkadir Kusanov clattered into him, took him down. No hesitation on the decision to give the penalty. Wissa took it himself. He stuttered in the run-up, got the keeper to go the wrong way, 1-1. Then, what a goal in the 78th minute to have the go-ahead. Mishak Elia delivered from the left side. It took a deflection off the defender, and Fiston Mayele was already running. He plays for Pyramids in the Egyptian league. He makes the quick decision. He's onside by about a body length, And what a little flick over the keeper. This wasn't just lunging to get a touch. This was directed. Great finish from Mayele, 2-1 DR Congo. And then at the start of stoppage time, Wisa got his second, picked it up at the top of the box, drove a low strike through traffic. 3-1, game over, history done. First win in the World Cup for DR Congo. They were the better team. They had less of the ball, but had more shots, more danger. Expected goals was 2.35 to 2/10 of a goal. The goal from Uzbekistan was a beautiful goal, but unexpected. Once they got it level, it felt like DR Congo could turn it. You just wondered if they could handle the moment, and they did. It's their first ever World Cup win. This will be their first ever knockout round appearance. It comes 52 years after their only other previous World Cup appearance. They were Zaire in 1974, got no points in that one. Half a century of waiting, they get their first ever win in Atlanta. And these are the moments. We talk about this with the Olympics, right? Where a city becomes famous in a country far, far away because of something historic that happened here. Atlanta will always be remembered fondly by soccer fans in DR Congo. And that's really cool. And it's going to be remembered even more fondly on Wednesday because Les Leopards will be playing jolly old England. It took England a while. There's been some questions about England in this tournament. They were level at halftime. They were not headed to Atlanta at halftime. And there were a lot of folks, a lot of bar owners, a lot of pub owners, a lot of event planners who were on edge. But they got done in the second half. Jude Bellingham broke the deadlock in the 62nd minute against Panama. Corner from Bukayo Saka. 5 minutes later, Bellingham clipped in the cross. Harry Kane headed it home, 2-0 to England. 7 points. They win the group. Croatia beat Ghana. They come in second on 6. Ghana qualifies as a third-place team. It took an hour for England to find a way through this. Maybe it took that long to wear off the curse from the witch doctor from Ghana and got a little bit of help in wearing that off from I don't know if they were priestesses or exactly what their title would be out of Peru, but they did this on live television to try to help Harry Kane in England, and it just took a little bit of time. He gets the second goal. They get the win. Harry Kane is now the all-time leading scorer for England at the World Cup. His 11th World Cup goal moves him past the legendary Gary Lineker. So England coming to Atlanta for the first time ever to play DR Congo. Noon kickoff. I would assume, just because of how things could have shaken out, that Les Leopards did plan to stay in Atlanta. I'm not sure off the top of my head where their base camp was, but they get to stick around and just get ready for this. England will be coming down from the Northeast. No big travel issue there. Thomas Tuchel said after the match that the tournament starts again now in the knockouts. The bigger the games get, he says, the bigger that England will get. There is an injury concern here. Jarrell Kwanzaa picked up an ankle injury. Tuchel said it would be a tight race to get him back. So the final group games of the tournament are underway right now. Argentina and Jordan. That one really doesn't mean much because Argentina's already won the group and Jordan has been eliminated. The other game is the really interesting one with Algeria and Austria, and it's really interesting on a couple of different levels. We'll talk about the potential for shenanigans in this one, although it might be reverse shenanigans. I don't really know how to quantify this, and I'm not quite sure how it's going to play out, but we'll talk about it on the other side of the break. We'll see if there's any goals in that one by the time we get there. There might not be any goals tonight in that one. We'll talk about why on the other side of the break. Both games are scoreless right now. This has just been such a crazy topsy-turvy day with England taking a while to get going, but eventually showing their quality, with the Ghana-Croatia game being very good and back and forth. And with what we saw tonight in Atlanta with DR Congo. I know there were a lot of questions and there was a little bit of misinformation out there earlier. We had it this morning on the SDH network that Lumumba Veya, that's what he is known as worldwide, was not going to be in Atlanta to support DR Congo. I wrote a piece about it on soccerdownhere.net. Go check that out if you can. Soccer Down Here on your social media platforms to help find it as well. It's it's not a mascot, and I think at times Lumumba Vea has been kind of put into that category. It is a memorial in a lot of ways, a living memorial of DR Congo's first prime minister who was assassinated not too long after taking power. And the history of DR Congo and the history of that assassination is very, very complicated and far too complicated to try to explain here. But Lumumba Vea has become famous in the last year or so internationally. Was seen, and the first chance I had a chance to see this at the African Cup of Nations tournament, December, January, about 6 months ago. Coming from DR Congo, there are some issues when it comes to the Ebola outbreak in the country. And I do not know why his visa did not come through in time. We have not been told that. I don't know if anybody has asked the government on that one. But I don't think it's necessarily fair to jump to the conclusion that he was just denied because there is an Ebola epidemic out there right now, and there has been restricted travel for people into most countries directly from DR Congo. If you remember on the show, we talked about it in the pre-tournament friendlies. DR Congo had a pre-tournament friendly canceled in Spain, and they had to move it because Spain would not allow them to play, even though none of the players from DR Congo had set foot in the country within the last 6 months because they all play in Europe. So these are things that have been going on. This is a complicated situation. DR Congo was also on one of the initial, had to have a special bond to get a visa to travel. That was before the pandemic or epidemic broke out. So a very complicated situation. I don't know if that changes between now and Wednesday. That would be very interesting to follow. We'll keep you posted on anything that we find out, either here or on the Soccer Down Here network or on both. Make sure you're following me at Longshoe, and I'll give you all the latest updates because the round of 32 is underway starting tomorrow. And our first game in the round of 32 will be in Atlanta on Wednesday at noon between England and DR Congo. We're going to get you ready for that. I am sure there are going to be a lot of events for traveling fans coming in for this. England fans historically travel very well. And there's also quite a few people who claim England as a favorite team, whether it's through family, through history, through just watching the Premier League. It's going to be a wild couple of days in Atlanta as we get ready for that one. And it's going to be a very wild Wednesday because don't forget, England plays at noon. The United States plays Bosnia and Herzegovina at 8 o'clock. And yes, there are going to be viewing parties galore for that one all over town. There's going to be a special Atlanta Soccer tonight from 6 to 8 to get you ready for that one. Location TBD. Make sure you're following us for all the latest. But coming up next on the other side of the break, we'll talk about this Austria-Algeria game and how the reverse shenanigans could be going. We'll also talk about what the bracket's looking like right now. It's almost done. It will be done by the end of the night. More to come on Atlanta Soccer tonight on 92.9 The Game and the Audacy app. Welcome back. Atlanta Soccer Tonight, live on 92.9 The Game on the Audacy app, also on the 92.9 YouTube channel. And that's where we will go after 11 o'clock. We'll take you through the end of these 10 o'clock games. We'll know what the bracket will look like, and we'll get into all of that. We do have an update in one of the games going on right now, the one that doesn't affect the bracket. Argentina, Giovanni Lo Celso taking the free kick because Lionel Messi is watching from the bench to start. What a goal. What a free kick. Lo Celso with his first goal of the tournament. First goal for Argentina, not scored by Messi. And Argentina lead 1-0 over Jordan. Okay, before we look at this bracket, I got to tell you a story. Because while we're sitting here, Algeria and Austria are playing in Kansas City. It's not just your average group stage finale. This is a 44-year-old wound that the Algerian football community is trying to close tonight. Game scoreless. The expected goals through 20 minutes for both teams are .01, one shot for each. Not a lot happening in this game. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Let's go back to 1982 first, though. The 1982 World Cup, Algeria. Young nation, 2 decades removed from colonial rule. They walked into that tournament. They beat West Germany, the reigning European champions, 2-1 in their opening match. Then they lost to Austria. Then they beat Chile in their final group game. So here's where it goes wrong. Back then, the final group game wasn't played at the same time. So after beating Chile in their final group game, Algeria had to wait for West Germany to play Austria. That was played the day after that game. Both European sides knew exactly what they needed. A West Germany win by 1 or 2 goals, and both of them would go through on goal differential, and Algeria would go home. So what happened? In Gijón, Horst Hrubesch scored for West Germany in the 10th minute. From that point on, both teams basically stopped playing. Players just walked the ball laterally for 20 seconds at a time. Defenders held the ball, surveyed the field, passed it 5 yards. 3 shots in the entire second half, none on target. Both teams completed over 90% of their passes. The crowd in Gijón figured it out fast. They started chanting in Spanish, just kiss each other and get out. Then they switched sides entirely, and the fans started chanting for Algeria. So the Algerian Federation filed complaints with FIFA that went nowhere. The only institutional response was that from then on, the final group matches are now played simultaneously. And that rule exists because of what happened to Algeria. So every time you see this, as we've seen over the last couple of days, with 2 games going on at the same time, at the end of the group stage, it's the ghost of Gijón at work. Algeria is the one who paid for that rule. So tonight, it's funny how history comes back around, isn't it? In Kansas City, 44 years later, Algeria and Austria meet for the first time at a World Cup since then. Argentina's already won the group. They're on 6 points. They're looking for 9 right now, leading 1-0. Algeria and Austria are level on 3. Jordan are already out. A win takes you through, no question. A draw, given the goal difference, a draw at this point, we know, takes both through because this is the last set of games. If you're old enough to remember 1982, it's not about 3 points for Algeria. It's closure. If you're a younger fan, you've probably heard about the grievance from your family. You might want the clean win to make sure nothing about tonight resembles that. However, this is where it gets complicated because as the bracket currently sits, Algeria is 3rd in the group. They would play Switzerland in the round of 32. Austria is 2nd in the group. They would play Spain in the round of 32. And no offense to our Swiss friends, but if you're getting to pick your opponent, you would rather play Switzerland than Spain. That would mean you would actually finish 3rd rather than 2nd. If you win the match, it's not actually going to help you if you're Algeria. You're going to play, instead of Switzerland, you're going to play Spain. If you draw the match, you're going to stay where you are. If you lose the match, then you're out. Austria, they're right now locked into the game with Spain. There's not any scenario where they can get into. Actually, there might be. It's not an easy scenario for them, I think, to thread the needle to finish third and for them to flip. That's what's tricky about this. Algeria really doesn't want to win. They really want to draw because the draw would put them through. A win would make them play Spain. If Austria were to somehow lose this match, they would be then on the precipice. No, they can't lose it and go. They would be on a -1 goal differential, and Iran would get the final spot. So now, and we've already seen videos from Iranian fans who are begging Algeria to go win this game to help them. Because right now, if this game finishes as a draw, then Iran goes home on 3 points. Algeria becomes the third place team that goes into the next to last spot. And it's Iran who pays the price. But Algeria would be happy to be third, and maybe not to knock Iran out, but to be third and play Switzerland rather than Spain. Yeah, it's really complicated, isn't it? But you get to a point again, 44 years later, where Algeria kind of were on the wrong end of some shenanigans between West Germany and Austria at that time. But now Algeria could be the one if they can maintain this stays as a draw, and Austria can't fall behind them, so they kind of have to take the draw. And this game might be extremely boring. I will tune into it in a little bit just to see. I did want to watch a little bit of Argentina first. So those games are going on right now, and checking in, it's still Argentina 1-0, and Algeria and Austria have not taken more shots yet. 3 fouls, 2 shots through 27 minutes of play, and it might just be that way. All right. What's on tap? It's brought to you by Michelob Ultra, the official beer sponsor of FIFA World Cup 26. Let's take a look at the bracket. There are 2 spots that are up in the air right now, and it's related to Austria and Algeria and Iran. 2 of those 3 will be in the knockout round. Here's what we know. Germany will play Paraguay in Boston. The winner of that will play the winner of France and Sweden. They play in New Jersey. Germany, France in the round of 16. Tasty. Tomorrow, South Africa and Canada, they play in Los Angeles. I don't know if the Canadian media is still crying about having to go to Los Angeles as opposed to, I don't know, winning your group and getting to stay in Vancouver. Probably still, but I don't know. The weather might be better. The winner of South Africa and Canada will play the winner of the Netherlands and Morocco, which is one of the better round of 32 games. That one will be in Monterrey. Portugal will play Croatia in Toronto. That one was locked just a little bit ago. And the winner of that will play right now the winner of Spain and Austria. So round of 16, you are potentially looking at a Spain-Portugal match. Ooh, spicy. We know Wednesday, 8 o'clock, the United States will play Bosnia and Herzegovina. And don't let anybody tell you that this is not a difficult game. Don't let anybody tell you this is an easy opponent. Don't let former U.S. men's national team goalkeepers who I guess desperately needed some attention and basically dismissed this as a contest. Don't let that happen. And no, it wasn't Brad Kazan. He's much smarter than that. It's a shame that we're getting some of these things that are getting said about Bosnia and Herzegovina. This is a very good team. If you've watched this tournament, it's a very, very good team. They should have beaten Canada in game 1. They beat Qatar. Edin Dzeko is going to be a handful for the U.S. backline. This is a Bosnia and Herzegovina team that held their nerve and knocked out Italy to get here. It's a very strong team. It's going to be a very tough match on Wednesday. The U.S. will be favored, but not by much. And for anybody to tell you that it's not going to be difficult, I'm telling you, they are lying to you, and you have to question why. The winner of the U.S. Bosnia-Herzegovina game will play the winner of Belgium and Senegal. And that one was locked in just a little bit ago. The U.S. match will be in Santa Clara, and the Belgium-Senegal match will be in Seattle. Next section of the bracket, Brazil and Japan. That game will be played in Houston. That is going to be a blast on Monday. Really good game there. That's a tough one for Brazil. The winner will play the winner of one of the more interesting matchups, Cote d'Ivoire and Norway. That'll be played in Dallas. One of the games I'm looking forward to the most, Tuesday night, 9 o'clock, Mexico, Ecuador, the Estadio Azteca. I mean, you can't ask for anything more than that. Sebastian Becasese might have asked for something different, but it's what happens when you don't score goals in your first two games. Ecuador is going to make it really difficult for Mexico. Mexico has played better in the tournament, but Ecuador's played better than a typical third-place finisher. That could be an epic night in Mexico City. The winner of that will play the winner of England and DR Congo, and that next match will be at the Estadio Azteca in Mexico City. So yes, it is shaping up that if Mexico does what they should and win at home, and England does what they should according to the FIFA rankings, England would have to go to Mexico City in the round of 16 and to the Estadio Azteca, where, since we're having history lessons tonight, go back and look up 1986 England-Argentina if you need a refresher on what happened last time England played in a World Cup match at the Estadio Azteca. Argentina, we know that they're going to win their group. They just scored a second from the penalty spot. Lautaro Martinez puts it home after a foul that was a high boot to the head of an Argentina player inside the 18. Argentina will play Cabo Verde in Miami, Messi's current hometown. That's going to be scenes upon scenes for all the different reasons. The winner of that match will play the winner of Australia and Egypt. They play in Dallas. The last as it stands match is Switzerland and Iran. That could change right now with the current score lines. That would oh, no, it wouldn't. Austria just scored on Algeria. Marko Arnautovic scored in the 28th minute, and Austria right now has Algeria eliminated, and whatever plans that were in place for a set of draws in that game are out the window. So, as it currently stands, it would be Iran and Switzerland playing, and Algeria would be out. Stay tuned. One goal for Algeria changes that. The winner of that one would play, which is now locked after the results from about an hour ago, Colombia and Ghana, and that one will be in Kansas City. So, yeah, all the things. Tomorrow, the round of 32 starts. South Africa and Canada in L.A. First time in history for both of these teams to be in a knockout match in a World Cup. Hugo Bruce, 74 years old. He's hinting that this might be his last World Cup. He's playing with house money. South Africa knows that. I'm surprised they got here, honestly. I did not think they would be able to pull that off in the last game. South Korea eliminated now. They were in a spot tonight coming into the night. They are now eliminated from the World Cup because of that result and because of some really bad decisions from that team who just never really got going. And it was a shame. They were a team that they have a lot of talent. They have a lot of potential, but they could not live up to that tonight. Disappointing in the tournament at all. Disappointing for South Korea. A lot of interesting games in this round of 32. I mean, I'm most looking forward to Argentina. Cabo Verde is going to be a fascinating game because Cabo Verde is an extremely good defensive team. They've never played a team like an Argentina in a game that counts. So, yeah, obviously looking forward to England and DR Congo here. Can Le Leopards pull off an upset, a shock upon shocks? Mexico, Ecuador, Brazil, Japan. If it's Spain, Austria, that's a really fascinating game. Portugal, Croatia, Netherlands, Morocco. Of course, USA and Bosnia and Herzegovina. France and Sweden could be a very high-scoring game with a lot of attacks. We'll see what dictator Mbappe has in mind for that one. Round of 32 starts tomorrow. No breaks. No breaks in the World Cup. No breaks on AST, except for ones that we are contractually obligated to take, like the one coming up. On the other side of the break, we'll close the night with the 3-4-3. We'll bounce around, closing out the group stage. We will continue the conversation for some stoppage time to see out the group stage over on YouTube. Come hang out with us there. But we're going to take this break, and we'll be back with more soccer talk on 92.9 The Game and the Audacy app. Welcome back. Final segment on the radio of Atlanta Soccer tonight on 92.9 The Game and the Audacy app. We'll continue on YouTube and keep an eye on Austria just kind of being rude. They didn't need to score against Algeria to finish second in the group, which they don't really want to finish second, but there's not an easy way, really no way for them to avoid that. Algeria would have got through with a draw. Austria said, no, we're going to make you earn it. Austria takes the lead. It's 1-0 in the 40th minute. That's the last game that we're waiting to see in terms of how it affects the bracket. As it currently stands, Algeria would be out. Iran would be in the round of 32. But we'll talk about all that, and we'll break down these matchups and take some questions on the 92.9 YouTube channel after 11 o'clock. But let's get into the 3-4-3. It's brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. We always have a little bit of structure to close out the night. During the World Cup, we've used it as an opportunity to talk about 3 standout performers, 4 headlines, and 3 things that make me smile about this game. Let's start with the standouts. Number 1, Jude Bellingham. He has the potential to be England's best ever midfielder. He really does. And a lot of times he lives up to that. Not always. First 60 minutes were not great for England, but they found the breakthrough. Bellingham, 62nd minute, finished a Bukayo Saka corner from close range. 5 minutes later, he gets the assist for Harry Kane, a goal and assist, the winning spot in the group, and a ticket to the ATL. Number 2 on the standouts, also a ticket to Atlanta, Yohan Wissa from DR Congo. 2 goals. He drew the penalty that turned the match. He converted it. He then, at the start of stoppage time, picked up a ball at the top of the box, drove a low strike. That gave DR Congo the 3-1 win. 52 years since they were last in the tournament. This is their first ever World Cup win. And that draw against Portugal, and the win tonight, obviously, but the draw that was unexpected is what gets DR Congo into the knockout round for the first time. And they hang around Atlanta for a couple of days. Their fans were amazing tonight, by the way, as were the Uzbekistan fans. But DR Congo will take on England on Wednesday. Number 3 on the standout players, Petr Susic from Croatia. Was brought back into the midfield for this must-win game against Ghana. And the Internazionale midfielder responded with a thunderbolt low into the corner to put Croatia ahead in the first half. Croatia has been all right in this tournament. Not bad, not great. They've been all right. Susic has been one of the reasons that this group has really clicked when it's needed to in these kind of moments like today. He was decisive when Croatia needed it most. Let's get into the headlines and let's stay with Croatia. Luka Modric, he becomes the oldest player to provide an assist in World Cup history. This is in data going back to 1966. You don't have Opta reports from anything prior to that. Luka Modric, the oldest player to provide an assist at the World Cup, 40 years old. He curled in the corner that Nikola Vlasic headed home to put Croatia through. He also passed the 200 cap mark in this tournament. I mean, I know we've talked a lot about the ultimo tango for Lionel Messi and the last dance for Cristiano Ronaldo. Luka Modric gets lost in the shuffle a little bit. And I mean, it's kind of a nature of his personality. He is more low-key. But what a player. What a player, Luka Modric. And he's going to try to carry Croatia as long as he can. All right, number 2, I mentioned it earlier. This is in the headlines in the 3-4-3. Harry Kane. He passed Gary Lineker as England's all-time World Cup goal scorer. 11 goals at World Cups. Harry Kane, for whatever reason, is not really appreciated, I think, in the way that he should be among England fans. I think he is their best ever striker. Just no question about it. Gary Lineker was outstanding. And if you've seen what he did in the 1986 World Cup, especially, and again in 1990, Golden Boot winner in 86, just a special player inside the 18. But for me, Harry Kane's a more complete player. He's the best striker that England's ever had. And he's got the mark now. I hope he gets the respect to go along with it. Number 3 on the headline, Steve Clark. He steps down as the manager of the Scottish national team as Algeria ties the match, and now they're back in the round of 32. 45th minute, Algeria makes it 1-1. We'll keep you updated on that on YouTube after this. Some AST stoppage time for you on the 92.9 The Game YouTube channel. But Algeria back into the round of 32. We'll see if they can hold it. Let's get back to Steve Clark. He walked away. He had gotten an extension before the tournament. And when the news came out after the group matches with England and Croatia and Ghana, and it being then official that Scotland was eliminated, the statement came out right as we were kicking off the 7:30 game in Atlanta and in Miami that Steve Clark was stepping down, even though he had a contract extension. Yeah, he got them to their first World Cup in 28 years. 7 years in the job for Steve Clark. And full credit to him for elevating the program. But it has elevated past what he is either capable or comfortable or I don't know, willing in terms of style to do. This is a team with more talent in the offensive side of the team than he allows them to show. He plays a very defensive style. I thought it was his tactics that get Scotland sent home here. They got the win in game 1 against Haiti and then giving up early goals against Morocco and against Brazil. And yes, you have to talk about the players and their performances as well. Don't get me wrong. It's not all on Steve Clark. But Steve Clark's negative tactics have been a problem, and I think it shows up in some of those moments in player performance. You can appreciate what Steve Clark has done for the Scottish national team to get them to this stage while also recognizing that, yeah, it's time for a change. I hope whoever gets that job is somebody who is going to be more open in the way that they manage, more attack-minded, get more out of Scott McTominay, get more out of the attacking players that Scotland has on the way up. Dare to dream. Dare to play better soccer. Scotland's capable. Hopefully, they get a manager who will do that. And give Steve Clark the gold watch. Absolutely. Give him his flowers. But it's time. Number 4 on the headlines, Nico Williams. He is out for the round of 32 thanks to an injury after a late tackle by Nicolas de la Cruz of Uruguay. That game got really spicy at the end of it. He will stay with the squad in case he's able to come back, but Luis de la Fuente hoping he could have got Nico Williams back on a regular basis by now. Remember, he came into the tournament a little banged up. But this tackle that was reckless from de la Cruz ends up costing him a round of 32 game, which would be against Austria. And it's just a shame. Like, everything went so south for Uruguay in this tournament. I mean, it had been going south. You can look at when the line happened, when you had the falling out between Luis Suarez and Marcelo Bielsa, of where Uruguay went from being a very good team under Bielsa to a very average team in general, and a team with a lot of internal strife. I mean, the records back it up. I think they won 11 games before Luis Suarez was dropped from the team, and they won 5 after that. It was a bad look all the way around. I mean, the memes have gone around with Bielsa's post-game comments on the field where he was asked, and he got antsy and was yelling at people to go ahead and start asking him questions. And it's a bad look because, similar to Steve Clark, but on a completely different scale in the sense of what he's accomplished, but similar in the sense that Marcelo Bielsa has done a great job as a manager. Now, Bielsa is one of the most influential managers of all time. He has always taken different kinds of jobs. He's never been somebody who takes the team that is just expected to win. So anybody criticizing Marcelo Bielsa for not winning a lot of championships is just completely missing the point. Marcelo Bielsa is a different guy, completely different personality. They call him El Loco for a reason. And some of the stories about how he got the El Loco nickname are legendary and might not be able to be verified to talk about. But yes, Marcelo Bielsa is eccentric, and that's fair. That's part of why he's such an influential manager and so legendary, because he does not follow normal convention in how he sets up his teams, how he structures things, all of that. He's an obsessive. He is definitely a little loco. But he lost the plot with this Uruguayan team. And I mean, you got the sense, and I thought it was real emotion from him, frustrated that he couldn't do more for the team and achieve more with them. He got them to a semifinal in the Copa America, but a bad World Cup. And his time with Uruguay is up. There's talk about Marcelo Gallardo potentially being a candidate for that national team. You can say the similar thing that you say about Steve Clark in Scotland. Marcelo Bielsa will always be a legend, and not maybe not necessarily in Uruguay, but a legend in the game. What he has done with Leeds, what he did with Athletic Club in Bilbao, what he did with Argentina winning an Olympic gold medal, which is legendary in Argentina. What he did with Newell's Old Boys. He inspired Tata Martino, for example. Incredible manager. What he did with the Chilean national team. Incredible manager. And a great, great manager. Definitely a very my way or the highway manager. And that's harder to achieve right now. The way the game is being played, the way that players are, the power that players have, it's very difficult to be that kind of a manager who is not necessarily adaptable. And I think that's showing in what we've seen from Marcelo Bielsa with Uruguay. Does he have another job in him? Does he want to do another job? There's no telling what kind of a job will appeal to him. He doesn't take the ordinary appointment. But it's very fair to talk about him in that duality as a legend who inspired some of the greatest managers and some of the most important tactical innovations in the sport's history. That's fair. And also to say that he failed with Uruguay and is now not coming off well. And I don't know if he can change that. We'll find out. I hope that he gets a better final chapter. I do. 3 things that make me smile to see this edition of AST out. Remember, we'll stay on YouTube, on the 92.9 YouTube channel to take us through the final 45 minutes of the group stage at this World Cup. But 3 things that make me smile to round out the 3-4-3. Number 1, 52 years of waiting, 3 goals in the second half after falling behind, 68,000 in the building. And DR Congo, they get their first ever World Cup win. They did it here in Atlanta, and they will stay in Atlanta to play England. Number 2, I talked about it earlier, Luka Modric, just watching him play, even at 40 years old. He made 2 huge defensive plays in this game. He assisted on the winner. He's fantastic still. Like, he can't do it as often as he used to, but Luka Modric is one of the all-time greats. And I just don't want him to be lost in the shuffle. Same for Memo Ochoa in this World Cup. 2 legends in their country who are calling it quits after the tournament. Messi and Ronaldo are going to get all the conversation, and that's to be expected. But Luka Modric, what a swan song for him at this tournament. And number 3, speaking of songs, Hey Jude, ringing out in New Jersey. It's pretty cool when you hear the England fans singing Hey Jude. Jude Bellingham is getting that singing, getting that serenade right now with this kind of performance. He had a goal, he had an assist. He had a rough season with Real Madrid. A lot of criticism, both from England fans and from Madrid fans. And he got the whole stadium singing his name back to him. That's what's so cool about this World Cup. That's the part that you can't predict. That's the part you can't control. England will be headed to Atlanta on Wednesday to play DR Congo. We will be previewing that between now and then. We'll be previewing the United States and Bosnia and Herzegovina between now and then. Both of those are on Wednesday. Tomorrow, it's Canada and South Africa. 3 o'clock for that. And then for Atlanta Soccer tonight, tomorrow, I'll be with you on 92.9 The Game and the Audacy app from 9 till 11. Come hang out with me on YouTube. We'll close out this group stage together, and we'll see what the bracket looks like when it's all said and done. Adios, everybody. All right, welcome back. Atlanta Soccer Tonight, now on the YouTube for a little bit of stoppage time. Decent bit of stoppage time. We're going to make sure we know what the bracket looks like when we're done here. It's halftime in the final group. Argentina is leading, and Algeria pulling one back to make that one 1-1. So right now, Algeria would play Switzerland, with the winner playing the winner of Colombia and Ghana, and Austria would play Spain. Austria probably not happy about that, but they can't get into the third spot. They could go all the way out if they don't want to play Spain, but they don't want that. Algeria probably doesn't want to score again because then they would play Spain. Tricky, very weird situation, but it's 1-1, and I wonder what the second half of this one is going to look like. A couple of questions that came in on the YouTube while I was on the radio portion, or one comment first. Homer said 2 comments now. You had a second one. Perfect timing. What a goal on the Algeria goal. Absolutely. And then, yeah, Thiago Almada benched because he's a key player for the Argentine national team. I've said this before. I don't know if he was appreciated enough during his time here, because what a player. Like, while he was here, what a player. Just unbelievable. But to be now, like, essential. I mean, he talked about it coming into the tournament. I thought he could be the one to replace Angel Di Maria in this team and the way that they play, and that winger who isn't always a winger. He's turned into that. And yeah, you're resting him for the knockout round. That's really cool. And that should make you feel good as an Atlanta United fan when you had a chance to see him and the kind of moments that we saw from him. I mean, good grief, the things that he did in that Atlanta shirt and what he's done so far in the Argentina shirt. So really cool. I'm really curious to see what his club situation is going to be next year, because Atleti was always an interesting move because Diego Simeone is not the most attack-minded manager. And I wondered if Thiago would fit in. I think he's tried to. I don't know if he is the stereotypical kind of Cholo player. So does he leave? There'd been a lot of talk about it. There'd been some rumors about going back to South America. I think after what we've seen so far in this World Cup, it's got to be bigger clubs that would be interested, right? I would love to see him in Italy. I don't know if the money is there for him in Italy in the same way, but I would love to see him in Italy. And I mean, this is a total wild card off the top of my head, just because of Nico Paz leaving Como. Man, I mean, I know it's a step down in terms of size of the club, but Thiago Almada playing for Cesc Fabregas in that system, ooh, I could work with that. I would have to get a Como Thiago Almada jersey. We can make this happen. Just remember, it happened here first. Ropes has a question about Koke. Yes, there are rumors out there, originated out of Spain, that Koke, another legendary Atletico Madrid player, he's legendary at Atleti. Thiago is not quite there yet. But Koke, contract is up, and there's talk about him coming to Atlanta. So, thoughts on him? I mean, this is a guy who started and played a lot in the Champions League for a deep run for Atleti. Yeah, he's older. That's true. Yeah, you're probably going to have to manage his minutes a little bit at times. But he's also a guy who, I mean, I'm going to look at his numbers. Like, I didn't get a sense at all from his season this year when I saw him that there was any major concern about his workload. I mean, this is a guy who's won trophies upon trophies. He's an all-time legend at Atleti. He played this past season, he played 34 games in La Liga, 2,200 minutes, 16 games in Champions League, just under 1,000 minutes. Copa del Rey, another 5 games. So he played plenty. I mean, yeah, is he always going to play 90 for you at this point? Maybe not. And that's something you got to manage and figure out. Like, do you want him to finish the game? Do you want him to start every game and play 60? That kind of stuff. So can he come to MLS and do well? Absolutely. I'm intrigued to see if he is motivated by what he watched happen with a Sergio Busquets, a Jordi Alba, guys who came from La Liga around that age, in and about. I mean, obviously Lionel Messi, but guys who came from La Liga and came to MLS and have been really consistent. Rodrigo de Paul now, and a former teammate, he could ask Rodrigo de Paul anything he wants to about coming to MLS, and de Paul's been really clear about it. I think the guys coming from La Liga have been extremely clear about this. It's a league that they don't see as an easy one. It's a league that's different. It's a different kind of game than it is in La Liga. I think, talking to Elias Baez, and now he's coming from Argentina. We had a chance to chat with him late last week. We'll have a feature on the SDH network here coming up really soon. Baez talked about one of the things that was different for him was just the amount of transition moments. It's a very back and forth kind of league. You have a lot of teams that have those transition sorts of moments. It has maybe a little bit more of a European feel. La Liga is maybe I want to say maybe the least transition of the major European leagues, the least based on transition anyway. I don't know if I could actually quantify that or not with stats. That might be a project if I get a chance to breathe between now and then. I think, the transitions are going to be a question for him with the legs and the amount of minutes and games he's played in his life. But to bring somebody like that into your locker room, he's immediately the most important voice. He's immediately the leader. If he has the armband or not, he's going to act like a captain. I would love it. I would absolutely love it. So we'll see if it can get done. It sounded positive from the Spanish reports. So I'd love to see it. And that's a position where I think as well, honestly, maybe in terms of what expectations I had when we started to see Tristan Muyumba in that 6 role, I think he did a pretty decent job. He's just not a total 6. So there's certain elements of his game that become a problem. I think he's a very good tackler. I think he wins the ball back well. He doesn't switch the point of attack a lot. He, at times as the game gets going, he gets a little more sideways and backwards with his passing. He gets a little safer, a little too conservative at times. He's a good 8. He's not as good of a 6. So Koke is obviously an upgrade at the position. So, and I think he makes everything else function better. And to have somebody like Koke, if Atlanta United gets him, to be a mentor and an example for a Cooper Sanchez, for a Jay Fortune, for a Will Riley, for the young midfielders coming, a David Ilovabere, who was named the MLS Next All-Star Game team, for an Andrew Hardinas, who has been playing consistently for Atlanta United too. Got another start tonight in a 2-2 draw with Crown Legacy. They won the shootout. To get somebody like Koke with all these talented central midfielders in the club, young central midfielders, and to be able to just, even if he doesn't say a word to him, which I don't think he would, he's always been a leader at Atleti, but even if he didn't say anything, just for them to watch him train and watch what he does and how he performs and just the little things, it would have a huge impact beyond just what he does on the field. So I would love to see it. We'll see if Atlanta United can get it done. Yeah, there's rumors about Junior Alonso, Paulo Diaz, 2 center backs, which wasn't as high on my list of needs, but yeah, you can upgrade there. And especially with Juan Bettercall gone, now you probably need at least one more center back. If you get 2, I do wonder if that means you might be looking at a move with an Enea Michai or a Stian Gregerson, which would be possible. I think you do need 4 center backs in this league. It's hard to keep 4 starting level center backs, though, because then somebody's not playing and somebody gets frustrated when they're not playing that way, unless you're looking to potentially play with 3 center backs. But I don't think, from what we've seen from Tata Martino in the past, and I know we talked about this before, Homer, as I sip on my Fernet and Coke, I don't think Tata Martino is necessarily like trying to get the team to 3 center backs. And if he did, think back to how he used Franco Escobar as a center back, but he was in that hybrid role, what we're seeing with Alex Freeman with the U.S. men's national team. I don't think any of the three guys you would have if you keep Mihai and Gregerson and bring in the two new guys. I don't think any of them really fit the hybrid role. So then you're really three guys staying as center backs. I don't know, maybe. I just think you do need the depth, but I was a little surprised there were two that were linked. So we'll see how it all plays out. You guys know how the rumor game goes. I mean, even from top tier sources, like two of the three have been. I mean, the Koke one, it didn't originate from a top tier source. Doug Robertson had a report on his outlet about it that at least he had a source attached to it to say that there is interest. So that makes you feel like, okay, there was something to the Spanish report that kind of came out of nowhere a little bit. The other two are from top tier sources. I believe one was Cesar Luis Merlo. The other one was Herman Garcia Grova. The Paulo Diaz one was Grova because I remember where I was when that one broke. It's funny how this is going right now with the World Cup and everything going on. Like, I feel like at times, I don't know what day it is, but at times I can also remember specifically where I was when somebody said something to me about something unrelated. Like remembering when I got the notification, like, oh, Atlanta United might be signing a guy from River Plate. Okay, cool. That's how this is going right now. It's been drinking out of a fire hose on a regular basis. Algeria and Austria 1-1. We're back underway. Second half, 90 seconds in. Nothing doing yet. Algeria is going to pass the ball around sideways as much as possible. Austria made a bunch of changes at halftime. I don't think they're going to settle for this. I mean, they have nothing to lose. No, actually, sorry, I take that back. They do have something to lose. If they lose this, it gets out of hand. But Algeria doesn't really want to win it because Algeria doesn't want to play Spain. So Austria is safe where it is. If Algeria gets squirrely and wants to eliminate them, then it gets really interesting. But then if Algeria gets caught going the other way, then they could be eliminated. So it's the soap opera element of Algeria, Austria is off the charts. Austria is trying to make something happen after Algeria did attack. I did not see the Galopo rumor from River Homer. That might not have been from a source that I would have even considered. So I did not see it. Like I said, it has been absolutely chaotic. So there's a very good chance that came from somebody that is good. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. Yes, that's a rumor. That is not from a top tier source. I see a rumor of him going to Italy. The rumor that I am seeing with Galopo linked to Atlanta is not from a source that I would consider. And it's not to say it's not true. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be elitist about it, Homer, but I've been doing this a while now. And I remember going through this and talking to Argentine reporters and people who know the Argentine media industry and the South American as a whole media industry when I was writing for Dirty South Soccer back in 2016, when rumors were fast and furious about Atlanta spending money. I mean, that's how Mucha Plata y'all started on Soccer Down Here. That was a phrase, not the y'all part, but Atlanta United, Tiene Mucha Plata was a phrase that got thrown around a lot back in the early days. So agents and clubs, it depended on what the situation was, but typically agents would float rumors out there and say that a player was linked to Atlanta United because they wanted a pay raise at their current club. So I started to figure out really quick, like, which sources were legit and which sources were rumor. And I don't get into the rumor personally in the role that I'm in. Like, I don't share social media tweets about rumors and things. I only share them about signings. I'll talk about it here because this is a talk show and I'm just telling you what I know, which is nothing from the Atlanta United side. But the two center back rumors were from reputable sources. The Koke rumor was not out of Spain, and Spain's a whole different category, and there's different tiers to levels of reporters there, but it has been seemingly verified by Doug Robertson. So you can at least feel like, okay, there's something to that. The Galopo one, I don't have anything that I am seeing from something credible. So again, not to say that it's impossible or completely wrong. I don't know anything about it, and I don't trust the source that is linked to it from what I see. So we'll see. These things happen, and look, we've seen rumors upon rumors upon rumors upon rumors. I remember the Moises Caicedo to Atlanta United rumor cycle. That was a fun one. Which I don't know if I ever heard officially that was at least some truth to it. I mean, he's a young, talented Ecuadorian player. I'm sure he was being looked at by an Atlanta United and by many other clubs in MLS. I don't know if it ever got to an offer stage, and that's the thing. And yeah, I mean, same profile as Galarza, and I think you've got so many guys in that, and I can't imagine he'd come cheap. Like it doesn't really make a ton of sense, and it's just not from anybody that I would say like is legit. But the rumor game is always a fascinating one, and you have to try to judge the why. And you have to remember that in other countries, I do think it's happening here too. I think we're seeing it happen here a little bit, not as much, but it is. I'm noticing a few players that this has happened with, and maybe they have agents in common. I don't know. But in other countries, you get agents working with the media and leaking things often, whether they're true or not, to either create a bidding war so their client makes more money, or to create the current club to spend more money on their contract. Like, you have to think about the why when some of these rumors pop up. Does something make sense? Is it realistic? And why would that happen? So the Galopo one didn't quite meet all that, and it wasn't from a reputable source. So that's just where it stands. 1-1, 53rd minute, Austria and Algeria. I have actually switched from the Argentina game. It makes me feel a little dirty, but they're up 2-0. And did they make any changes in the second half at this point? No. Lionel Messi probably won't play unless he just wants to. I'd probably like to see him not play. Argentina is on a pathway to Atlanta if they win their round of 32 game, which will be against Cabo Verde. They would play the winner of Australia and Egypt. That's an interesting game in the round of 32. I don't really know how to feel about that one. It feels like out of the 16 games in the round of 32, about half of them I have strong feelings about. Like, either I want to see it, or I think it's really even, or it's two really good teams and I don't want to see one go home. There's a few that I'm kind of like, I don't know. Australia, Egypt is one I don't really know. I think Egypt's the better team, not by a lot. Mo Salah, there's a potential injury, though. And Australia is organized enough to really frustrate Egypt in a lot of ways, as Algeria is trying to eliminate Austria. Maybe they want revenge from 1982. I don't know. Save, so it wasn't much of an attempt to eliminate them. Maybe this will be a fight to the end. I don't know. I thought they might, once it got to 1-1, just kind of call it off. But at least for the first portion of the second half, both teams are still going for it. Yeah, the round of 32 is interesting when we start to go through it and start to dig into it a little bit more. And Mexico, Ecuador is one that I keep coming back to, because Ecuador has been one of the most fun fan bases to see in this tournament, and maybe a surprise for a lot of people. They're not going to get many tickets in Mexico City. So what is that going to look like? That has the potential to just be a really fun game. I've said it before. I've talked about it. I love Sebastian Becasese, his style of play. I love his style as a manager. I'm just a big, big fan of Becasese. I was overjoyed about the moments. And now Austria is trying to eliminate Algeria again. Sabitzer with the goal. 2-1 Austria. Algeria out. Iran back in. It's got to be a wave of emotions right now in Tijuana for Iran. Algeria's got to go find another goal. Austria's trying to pile on the punishment for Algeria. I mean, Algeria shouldn't have tried to go win the game. They shouldn't have tried to go eliminate Austria. Austria got mad. Good grief. Jordan just scored. Yeah, I'm still not going to switch it over to that one. Argentina's fine. It doesn't matter. It's like the U.S. And man, did we get into some dumb territory and conversations this week after that game. We talked about it on here. The U.S. game against Turkey meant I guess Messi wanted to play and he wanted to bring Thiago with him. Nice to see, Homer. The U.S. game meant absolutely nothing. And you had very important things you had to deal with. You could not get another yellow card to Tyler Adams, to Chris Richards, to Jedi Robinson, to Folarin Balogun. You need them for the round of 32. You couldn't risk it. Christian Pulisic coming back. No need to play him a lot of minutes. That's 5 guys. Yeah, you lost. You lost to Turkey in a game that meant absolutely nothing. If you'd won 10-0, I would have told you the same thing. It didn't mean anything. You would have then had at least some players who you would have said, man, they played well. If you need them in the round of 32, if you need them in the knockout rounds, I feel pretty good about it. You don't have much of that. I thought Berhalter played pretty well. I thought Gio Reyna played pretty well. Outside of that, you didn't really take much away from that. Okay. But the loss doesn't mean anything either. And like some of the takes that I saw after that game were wildly misleading. Just to the point, again, like I said on the show, like what are we doing sometimes with some of the conversation around the U.S. team? And we do it both ways. Like the overreaction to a loss in a meaningless game, which there should be no reaction to. You had 9 different starters. No reaction to that. Because there shouldn't have been a reaction if you won either. But then, on the other side of it, the absolute disrespect that some are showing, and Tim Howard is one, at least is being quoted with this, but random news reporters in Los Angeles are doing it as well. The absolute disrespect of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Like, why? Have you watched anything? Trusty played well. Fair shout, Ropes. Yeah, Trusty would be the other one that I would give props to. And that's good. You need another center back to look good. Yeah, Miles was not that center back who looked good. It just, I don't know if it's just in his head right now or what. It happens. It hasn't been good. He was fine in MLS this season. I mean, we saw him back on the opener, and he played pretty well in that game. He's been fine. I haven't noticed any huge mistakes, but you got 3 games now of evidence that it's not a good moment for him on the field. And that means you probably won't see him again in this tournament. And that's just the nature of it. I think Trusty would probably be the center back that you would see if you need to make a change in that way. So, but just these wild whiplash things that we do with talking about the U.S. men's national team. I don't know. Maybe it's just trying to take too many cues from England and how England gets talked about, which a lot of times is either wildly overreacting in a positive way or wildly overreacting in a negative way. Maybe that's why we do it. I don't know. Maybe it's just to get clicks. I don't know. But I feel like we do a disservice to it. That's why we don't do that here on AST or on SDH. We don't trade in that. We don't play that game. I'll tell you what I like and I'll tell you what I don't like. And you can disagree with me, and that's completely fine. I don't want you to act like, I don't want it to come off that way. Like, I don't know everything. I thought Ecuador could be a sleeper in this tournament, and now they got to go to Mexico City because they were asleep for the first 2 games. At least the attack was. But I think the thing I can guarantee to you, and what I share with you, and what I tell you, and when I give you my opinion, is that you can believe it's my opinion. As Algeria makes it 2-2. This is a wild game that nobody saw coming. Riyad Mahrez with the goal in the back post. Great work down the left. Austria is still in the same spot that they were to begin with, but now Algeria is back in, and Iran is out again. Chaos in Kansas City. Riyad Mahrez gets the goal. Oh, man. This World Cup has just been a lot in a good way. A whole lot in a good way. Good finish from Mahrez, too. Defender tried to take away the near post as the keeper was coming back, and Mahrez got it around him. That's a great finish. Kind of bouncing, too. What a goal from Mahrez. It looks easy, but it's not. That's outstanding. So Algeria back in now. They'd play Switzerland. Iran would be out. Austria still playing Spain. Maybe Algeria goes to knock Austria out next, because that was the thing that I think it was a contributor to one of the Iranian television networks who basically filmed an appeal to Algeria for help, because that's the other way that Iran gets in. I mean, if Austria beats Algeria, then Iran gets in. But if Algeria beats Austria, then Iran gets in. Then it's Iran and Algeria. So we'll keep an eye on it. But right now, both would be on 4. And both would be in. And Austria would be in second, and they would play Spain. So that's what it stands right now. That's what happens on these watch-alongs. Things get all over the place. Chaos happens. I'll be in the middle of one point. Something else will happen. Basically, I'm just going to be honest with how I feel about something. And I think with especially you guys who are hanging out right now on YouTube and people who listen on a regular basis, like, you know where I'm coming from a lot of times. You know kind of what I like and what I don't like. You know the filter that I have for the game. We all have it. We can try as much as we want to be completely neutral with everything, but it's impossible. To me, it is. If you love the game, you have feelings about it. And I absolutely love this game. I mean, to the fact that I'm team no sleep most of the time over the past month and would not trade any of it. I love the sport. I mean, we're keeping up with Atlanta United 2 in the press box at a World Cup game. We're yelling in our group chat about Arif Kovac when we're at a World Cup game. That just shows you that, like, me and the people that you hear here on AST and on SDH, we are all sickos. We just love the sport a whole lot. So everything that we do comes from that filter. And there's certain things that we love about it. There's certain things that we don't. We talk about that. We're humans. You're going to get human coverage. And the thing that we just always try to strive is to be authentic to ourselves and share that with you. We don't do the performative thing. So hopefully that's appreciated. Arif Kovac, man, I'm telling you, Homer, I would love to see him start against Nashville. I would have absolutely no problem with it. I do know he's been training with the first team. I can absolutely tell you that. The Botafogo thing, Homer, no, there's not. And I don't actually know the current situation and who owns Botafogo right now. Yeah, that's probably not a good sign. They're going to have to resolve it because of the FIFA transfer system. So if you resolve that through players, I don't know, players, money, like a new agreement, like, I don't know, you got to do something, because Botafogo's got, like, I want to say it's 3 or 4 different things that have them banned on the transfer list right now. And Atlanta's one of them. And until they're resolved by whoever the owner is, they can't bring in players. So they got to fix it. How they do that, I don't know. Who does it, I don't know. The last reporting I saw, Michel Kang has taken over at Lyon in France, which we talked about. That was probably going to happen. We talked about it a while back when it looked like Texter was trying to line up money from somebody else to help him get control of Botafogo, because that was the one that it seemed like he might be able to get. It looks like it is going to be this GDA Luma capital that is going to get Botafogo. At least that was the last reports from a while back. The deal yesterday, I mean, let's let's dig into it a little bit. I honestly haven't had time to dig into all of the terms as much because of the World Cup. But and it's all really complicated when you get into this situation with Eagle Football Group and Lyon and what Eagle Football Group and what John Textor owes to Aries Management, basically paying back a loan that they paid about half of it back. The club in Belgium, Molenbeek, I have no idea what any of this means for them right now. But this one with Michel Kang taking over Lyon, what it means for Botafogo is a little unsure at the moment because the Brazilian system is completely different. Lyon did not own Botafogo. Eagle Football Group owned Botafogo. And what I need to get a sense of, and that's what I'm trying to get to here, is how is the situation with Lyon sorted? So June 23rd, so a couple days ago, Eagle Football Group sold Eagle Bidco, which was a holding company, sold 88% stake in Olympique Lyon to Michel Kang for $30 million. Tiny price against the debt load, which was 616 million euro at year's end. So you got it for $30 million. The debt's still there. So the Botafogo part is another element to it. So there's a separate part of this transaction that Michel Kang did with Eagle Bidco and Eagle Football Group, which John Textor founded but has no control over anymore. So as part of this sale, roughly, and this is from a report from Paul Quinn, who is an excellent, like seriously academic breakdown of some of the financial setups that some of these clubs have, some of the financial issues that some of these clubs have. I mean, if you want to really go into a deep dive, go to Paul Quinn. The site is Everton and Other Writings by Paul Quinn, the analysis series. But I've gotten into Paul Quinn's writing from what he's done about this and about other clubs that are in financial turmoil. So as part of the sale of Olympique Lyon to Michel Kang by Eagle Bidco, roughly 232.6 million euro of OL Group's liabilities to other Eagle football affiliates were released, were wiped out. That release was done through an English law intercreditor agreement. And the language in the press release from Eagle and Michel Kang is very clear. Olympique Lyon's debts to other Eagle football clubs are gone. One of those is Botafogo. So Botafogo had a claim against Lyon. Remember, same ownership at the time, and that's a whole bone of contention, and that's probably going to be in the legal system for a while. But Botafogo had a claim against Olympique Lyon of approximately 125 million euro. So 232.6 million euro of liabilities wiped out. So what else did Lyon owe to other Eagle clubs? That's interesting because there's only Molenbeek, and I would assume whatever they owed to Crystal Palace, if they owed anything, would have got wiped out before, but maybe not. So 125 million euro that Botafogo said Lyon owed them is now gone, according to the press release. That money came from this arrangement that Textor ran across his multi-club empire, basically like a shared treasury. That's the way that Quinn describes it. So money flowed between the clubs. And there's always been this dispute between French fans and French media and the Brazilian fans and the Brazilian media about who was propping up who. And maybe what we're learning here later in this is that at times one was propping up the other, and at times that flipped. Like Lyon was wrecked financially. Wrecked. I mean, again, they're in debt of 616 million euro. So wrecked financially. They were not in a position to prop up anybody. Botafogo was better off, but they have a lot of debt now. but they were in the stronger financial position. And I've always seen it more as Botafogo helping Lyon than the other way around. So the fact that Botafogo would say, hey, Lyon, you owe us 125 million euro, that doesn't feel all that crazy to me. But now it's gone. So a Brazilian court had already issued an initial order requiring Lyon to pay Botafogo about 20.8 million euros towards that claim. So this transaction that Michel Kang has now bought Olympique Lyon, that extinguishes that. So the release language captures this Botafogo intercompany claim. Now, and I'm sure this is going to go to the courts, but I don't know if you can just wipe that away. I guess they think they can, and they're doing it this way, which then goes back to the bigger picture. John Textor is not a good owner. Like, don't get me wrong. But John Textor's claims that Michel Kang was always angling after this to get Olympique Lyon or to get control of Eagle Football Group as a whole or whatever. But there was always an angle. I mean, it kind of looks that way. You got a club in Ligue 1, a legendary club, for 30 million euro or $30 million. Yeah, it's got 616 million euros of debt, but you got it for, in your world, not much. So now, instead of Botafogo being able to get that money as a preferred creditor within Eagle Football, now they go basically to an unsecured creditor outside of it. They're downgraded in priority, what have you. So the other thing in terms of Botafogo to keep in mind, though, is now that Lyon is sold, Botafogo could actually sell. Botafogo's SAF, it's like their membership. It's hard. Brazilian business structure is very complicated. I'm not fully understanding all of it on a regular basis. But the SAF, basically the club, I guess, license, it's about 90%. That's been under a binding sale agreement to GDA Luma Capital since June 5th for $105 million. Now, $105 million for Botafogo versus $30 million for Olympique Lyon, but Lyon has 616 million euro in debt. Botafogo has debt, but not that kind of debt. But they also have the debt that you got to pay to get the transfer bans unblocked. That deal hasn't closed. One of the things that's been blocking it is these tangle of claims between Lyon and Botafogo. So now does Cork Gully, basically the liquidator, can they get this deal done? Because once that part is done, then we can get back to the real conversation of what Atlanta United can get in terms of the money they're owed out of the Thiago Almada deal. And I think it's been reported, or at least insinuated pretty strongly, and from my understanding, and just trying to do basic logic here, you are owed a certain amount, and then you took a deal to allow a down payment to be given to get Botafogo out of a transfer ban. And a payment structure was created with penalties. And I think the reports of the penalties were pretty steep. So Atlanta United's going to make more money than they were originally going to make, for sure. They're going to make more money than they had then agreed to take from Botafogo, which was more than they were originally going to make because of late fees, because of this agreement, and basically a payment plan and all that. So now they're going to make even more eventually once there is an owner to actually cut a check, which I guess will be GDA Luma. We'll see. But here's the catch on that. And this is where this gets confusing. All right. So if you're going to buy Botafogo for $105 million, all right. And GDA Luma is the one who gave the loan to Botafogo for them to be able to pay anything to Atlanta United, which they did back in February, I think. It was GDA Luma who gave Textor the horrible term loan. I mean, Textor's dealt with loan sharks, like professional loan sharks, but definitely loan sharks. GDA Luma was a great white. And like the terms on this deal were ridiculous to the point that people assumed that Texter took it so GDA Luma could take control of the club and get it away from Aries and get it away from Eagle, and then Texter could run it that way, which I don't know if that's true or not. We'll just have to wait and see. But the problem is Aries is owed $547 million. They have first rank claim over Eagle Bidco's Botafogo shares. So GDA Luma's pledge is second rank. So when this Botafogo sale closes and money flows back in, Aries gets it. Botafogo is not necessarily going to benefit from that. So, and they're not going to get the money that Leon owes it. John Texter has also filed suit. He says that he personally still owns the Botafogo SAF shares, not Eagle Bidco, because Eagle never finished paying him the 150.3 million raised, the Brazilian currency from the original 2022 purchase, which Eagle Bidco was his company at the time, and then it wasn't, but he didn't pay himself, I guess. Yeah. So that's a really long-winded look at all of this to try to explain that there isn't much of an update on what Botafogo owes Atlanta United, because this whole thing has made my head hurt on a regular basis. It's got to get resolved at some point, or Botafogo can't bring in players. So it will. When, I can't tell you. Who pays it, I can't tell you. Who owns Botafogo next week, I can't tell you. We know who owns Olympic Lyon at this point. Who owns Molenbeek, I have no idea. Eagle Football, I don't know if it even exists at the end of all this. Court Gully, the liquidator, I guess is going to get paid off of all of it. That's all I got. I don't know. None of this is public in terms of the official reports, but I think the Brazilian media had, I don't think it was like 50% punishment, like up charges, but a good bit more. I think the agreement from what Brazilian media reported when the agreement to get off the transfer ban list in February and to take a down payment, I think that was for $30 million in total. I don't know how much was paid initially. If it was 10, I think it was 10 was what was being reported. And then 4 $5 million payments, if I remember correctly, and this is all from Brazilian media. A lot of local Botafogo coverage of this, and people maybe were getting things leaked to them. I don't know, because it seemed pretty specific. But yeah, if you didn't make a payment, then you were in arrears and you had to pay more. And I don't know how much more it jumps. But from an original, what was it, $22 million deal to go up to 30 and now to go past 30. And some of that was in bonuses that were baked in with Almada's performance. But yeah, it's going to end up being good business. It's just taken forever. The good thing is it's not affecting operating costs. It's not affecting anything for Atlanta United. They're good for it right now. Botafogo's not. John Texter's not. But somebody will have to be to get them off the transfer ban list. So you're going to make more money, and that's a good thing. But you just had to wait a while to get it. So it'll pay off in the long run. But it's fascinating what happens for Botafogo, because, I mean, this is a proud club that hadn't won in a long time, hadn't won some things ever. And John Texter came in and was the White Knight and brought them a lot of talented players, and they won a league title. And they won a Copa Libertadores. And then it all blew up, and now he doesn't even necessarily own them, although he is legally saying he does. Yeah. The cost of success in some of these countries. And it's something that I think gets lost in the shuffle when we talk about MLS and we talk about what's next and how it grows. You don't have these kind of issues in MLS. And I had this argument with somebody once, and they were trying to point, well, there are MLS clubs who got on the transfer ban list too. Never in a situation that affected their business. And it's usually down to like some complicated aspect of when payments are made or whatever. MLS clubs are not going to go broke. The league's not structured that way. Botafogo is broke to the point that they can't bring in players because they have no money and they're not legally allowed to bring in players. Lyon has 616 million euro in debt. Most clubs in England lose money. And you can't do that forever. Like, I think there's a difference in a lot of countries and in a lot of leagues and in a lot of sports. You want to break even. Over a long period of time, you want to break even. The way that owners make money is when they sell the club. There are some that make money year to year. Absolutely. Some make a little bit, some make a good bit. Very few make a good bit. But generally, you're trying to break even over a period of time. But there are a lot of clubs that don't do that because they get caught up in spending a ton of money and spending more than they can afford. And then results don't go your way. And then everything falls apart. And we've seen that happen so much. And we've also seen Lionel Messi score goals quite a bit. And he's got another one because he's Lionel Messi and he's got 6 in the World Cup now. Dictator Mbappe is going to be very upset about this. He's already upset about Ousmane Dembélé getting a hat trick. Can only imagine what is going on in the compound right now. But Lionel Messi, 6 goals. He is leading the Golden Boot race. Just insane. Just this guy. Goal in the 80th minute. I mean, like, what else can you say? There's nothing you can say. Like, he's just on another planet. Argentina is going to be a tough team to beat in this tournament. For me, as we're into the last 8 minutes or so of the group stage, Algeria is going to try to eliminate Austria. They cut it back. Oh, didn't get the shot off. Now they got to get back. If Austria gets eliminated by Algeria, it is total payback for 1982. It would kind of be karma, right? But Algeria can't blow their own opportunity here. They can't get caught on the counter. If they're going to attack, they got to finish plays off. And these passes back to the top of the 18 are not the way to do it because Austria can break when those get intercepted. All right, Algeria wins the ball back. And now they're going to get a free kick. They got to be careful. The cutback. When you're in this situation, Algeria is safe. Okay, if you want to go get revenge for 44 years ago, I have no problem with that. I like petty. But you can't have these cutbacks. You can't get down the line and cut it back to where if it's intercepted, the dude is off to the races. You can't do that. You just can't. Homer, I mean, it's never happened. A non-European or South American winner. It's never happened. So until it does, it's going to be really tough to pull off. I don't know if there's a team that I would put outside of Europe or South America that has a legit chance to win it. I really like Japan, but man, now they got Brazil in the round of 32. I don't think Morocco's quite as good as they were last time, which was to get to the semis. I think what's really cool about this tournament, and I talked about it earlier in the week, and now it's becoming a big conversation, which is good because if Algeria gets in, I think it's 9 teams from Africa that make the round of 32. And that's amazing. I don't know if any of them are title contenders. CONCACAF. I mean, the U.S. and Mexico, I can get to the quarterfinals. If you told me Mexico beats Ecuador and it beats England in Mexico City, I could buy that. And then they go to the quarterfinal and they're going to have to leave Mexico City. And then it becomes a different kind of challenge. I mean, then you're talking about who would you be facing if that was the case? If Mexico was to get there, you would be seeing... Would it be in Argentina? No. I think you'd be seeing one of... I need to make this window bigger so we can see it all the way out. So Mexico's path... Yeah, they'd go up into the Brazil, Japan, Ivory Coast, Norway. So you'd have to go to Miami if you're Mexico, if you got past England. Again, assuming chalk. And then you'd have to play one of Brazil, Japan, Cote d'Ivoire, or Norway in Miami. And then your semifinal would bring you to Atlanta, which would be, I mean, could you imagine Mexico, Argentina in a semifinal in Atlanta? Like, good grief. The city would have to shut down. Like, the city would just have to take a day off entirely. It would be insane. It's possible. I think Mexico can get to the quarterfinal. I think the U.S. can get to the quarterfinal. And then the U.S., again, if things go, I mean, they're going to have to get through a Belgium now, which is a tougher opponent than maybe they had, but Belgium hasn't had a great tournament. Or Senegal. Belgium would be favored in that. If you get to the quarterfinal in Los Angeles, the U.S. would then play one of Spain, Austria as it currently stands, Croatia, or Portugal. You'd be the underdog against all of them. You'd probably be considered an underdog against Belgium in Seattle in the round of 16. Although it might be more of a toss-up. I mean, I'm trying to think of who else I would put in this conversation. Like, I mean, I'll go through the round of 32 right now. Paraguay, no chance to win. I don't think a game in the knockout. South Africa, Canada, one of them's going to be out. The other one will go into the round of 16, and they're going to play the Netherlands or Morocco. I think they get knocked out. So Morocco, let's say they beat the Netherlands, they beat South Africa or Canada, then they're playing either France or Germany, according to the rankings. I don't think Morocco gets through either one. We talked about the U.S. portion. I mean, Japan, I don't know if they get through Brazil. Cote d'Ivoire, I don't think this is the best Cote d'Ivoire that we've seen. It's going to be a challenge to get through Norway. And then they get Brazil or Japan. Ecuador, I love Ecuador. I just don't see them making that kind of a run. And that's the South American team anyway. DR Congo, I love what we've seen from this DR Congo team. But, man, England, come on. Egypt, Australia, I don't rate super highly. Egypt, I don't either. Algeria, I don't. Ghana, I don't think they get past Colombia in Kansas City. So I think it's a tournament where, like, I don't see a non-European or South American team maybe even getting to the semis. But I think you might see more getting to the round of 16 than ever before. And that's awesome. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. I just think your best teams that we've seen in this tournament, trying to somewhat take their standing coming in and adjusting for what we've seen so far this summer. Argentina, you have to put in this conversation. France, they didn't look good in the first half of the first game. They've been pretty good since. They did play a heavily rotated Norway. We'll find out. France, Germany will be a massive test. I have to keep Spain in the conversation. I wasn't super impressed with them last night. I was against Saudi Arabia, but it was Saudi Arabia. I think you have to keep the defending European champions in the conversation. Do you keep England in this conversation with what we've seen? If I'm going to follow my own logic, and that's what I try to do. Homer, this is where I am saying it is not coming home to England. I had England as the number 4 team of my top 4. They haven't moved up. But if I'm going to follow my own logic and keep Spain as my number 1, I picked them to win the tournament at the beginning of the tournament. I feel less sure of that now. I would probably say it's either going to be France or Argentina if I had to say right now after what we've seen. But Spain's still in my top 4. I'm not dropping England out of my top 4. Okay. So if my top 4 stays the same, how has the rest of it moved? I rate Germany more highly based off what we've seen in this tournament, although Ecuador kind of punched them in the face, but Germany also had nothing to play for. So we keep Germany where they are as on the rise. France on the rise for me out of the top 4, like from 3 or 4 to 2. I think Argentina's been a little bit better. Argentina's group has been weaker. So, like, it's not really apples to apples, is it? The Dutch, I can't say they're better than I expected. They're about what I expected, maybe slightly better. Same with Morocco. Portugal is maybe a little bit less than I expected. Croatia a little bit more, but not dramatic differences. Belgium's been less than what I expected. Brazil has been about what I expected, honestly. Like, they were kind of always the 5th or 6th for me, and they feel about like that. To the point that I think Japan has been better than I expected. In general, I could see Japan beating Brazil in the round of 32. That's going to spark some conversations. Norway, man, I would have liked to have seen them really play France so I could have a better understanding of this. I can't expect anything big out of Norway because we've never seen it. Same with Cote d'Ivoire. Same with Ecuador. Mexico's a quarterfinal. So if, as it looks right now, and Algeria, every time I think they're just going to put their foot on the ball, they actually do hit a long ball, but they're not going anywhere with it. This is spur of the moment. My picks right now, round of 32. Germany beats Paraguay. France beats Sweden. I know, crazy. South Africa and Canada tomorrow. Man, I don't know how to feel about this. I'm going to pick Canada. I don't feel good about it, but I do not like Hugo Bruce and his defensive tactics, and I think he'll get more defensive here because it's what he's always done, and I think it'll come back to bite him. So I think Canada wins, maybe extra time. I think Morocco beats the Netherlands. I think Portugal-Croatia goes to penalties, and Portugal gets through. Spain beats Austria, unless Algeria eliminates them here, which would be hilarious. The United States beats Bosnia and Herzegovina. I hope it doesn't go to extra time, but I could see it. Belgium, Senegal. I'm going to go upset. I'm going to go Senegal. Maybe I'm trying to will that into existence. I'm going to go upset. I'm going to go Japan over Brazil. Norway over Cote d'Ivoire. Mexico, Ecuador. I really want to go with Ecuador, but I just can't. It's at the Estadio Azteca. Mexico gets through. England over DR Congo, but I think they're going to have to really work for it. Argentina over Cabo Verde, and I do think they'll have to work for it for at least a half. Australia, Egypt right now is tough to call with the possible injury with Salah. I'm still going to go with Egypt. but I don't feel good about it. Switzerland, Algeria, I'm going to go with the Swiss. Colombia, Ghana, I'll go with Colombia. That's my round of 32. Not a whole lot of upsets. I think Australia, Egypt would technically be an even one. Mexico, Ecuador. Mexico would be the favorite. Japan would be an upset for me. Senegal would be an upset. Morocco, you might consider an upset. And Algeria scores. Oh, my goodness. In the 93rd minute, Algeria scores, and they're going to get revenge from 1982. Algeria is going to eliminate Austria when they didn't have to. They were in. Now Algeria is going to go play Spain. And Iran is back in. And Iran is going to play Switzerland. And he's onside. And there's no time for Austria. Algeria just did the most petty thing of all time in the World Cup. And I love it so much. They had no need to go get that goal. And some might say that it actually makes it harder for them in the knockout round. But they got their revenge on a team in Austria who conspired with an opponent in 1982 to eliminate Algeria through when Austria almost scores going the other way. But Austria conspired with West Germany to let West Germany win 1-0, and then both teams stopped playing for 80 minutes. And it eliminated Algeria. And it was a horrible way to go out in their first World Cup. And now they're going to get their revenge. This is amazing. I love this tournament so much. I want to get an Algeria like jersey for this, because this is the best. This is literally the best. Austria, I mean, this might be their last chance. Oh, it's still alive and they scored. Oh my God. Austria goes and scores, and now Iran is out. And Algeria's now back to having a better matchup. They play Switzerland. Austria's back in after they were out. Like, I don't even know what to do with this. Algeria didn't need to go score, and they did, to be petty. And they almost eliminated Austria. And then Austria picked themselves up, and they go and they score in the 96th minute of 4. Yeah, I mean, but Algeria scored. There were 2 more minutes added. This was the last chance. It's a cross deep to the back post, headed back to the top of the 6 and headed home. I mean, well designed. The header is a great one. So Algeria tried to be petty. Full credit to them for trying to be petty. Austria picks themselves up, gets back in. Algeria is still in. They get to play Switzerland instead of Spain, so Algeria is going to be fine. And it's Iran who is out because of a 3-3 draw in Kansas City to close out the group stage. I think we have to kick off. I mean, 2 goals in stoppage time. And we're back to where we were before Algeria scored. There's the final whistle. Stop. The group stage is done. And it's Iran who is out. I'm sure we're going to hear about that. It's been very complicated. There's a lot of things to be considered there, but they are the last one out as a third place team. Algeria gets in as a third place team. Austrian fans are just a mess. Algerian fans, I think, kind of wanted to go with the petty route, but they actually have a better matchup. They can beat Switzerland. I would not say they could beat Spain. They can beat Switzerland. So now Algeria is in as a third place, and Iran is out on goal differential by 2 goals. I think it's 2 goals that cost them. Because Iran finished with 3 points on 0. And we had this conversation a lot during the build-up and into the group stage. I thought -1, -2 might get you in with a win. It ended up not being that. It ended up being +2 is what was needed. The only team with 3, because more teams got 4 points than we thought. One team with 3 points, Senegal, with their win today, they get in. Senegal won today 5-0 over Iraq. That gave them a +2. They were a -3 coming into the day. They would have gotten through with a... So they would have gotten through if they won 4-0. They would have gotten through if they had won 3-0 on goals scored. But yeah, 0 on goal differential with 3 points. Only one team with 1 win got in. That's Senegal. South Korea eliminated today. Scotland eliminated today. Uruguay only had 2 points. We already knew they were out. So, wow. Like, I need a deep breath. Joseph, yes. Wild night. The 7:30 games were crazy. DR Congo. Yeah, like, I had to leave the DR Congo Uzbekistan game at halftime to get back here to do the show. So I got back here at about 9:10, 9:15. Maybe a little bit earlier than that. And got to see the last 30 minutes or so of the 7:30 games. The twos, that game was crazy. Dominic Chanqui scored at about the same time that DR Congo made their penalty. You're right. Then this game topped all of it for crazy drunkenness. I kind of wanted Algeria's pettiness to win out. But honestly, if you're Algeria, I mean, getting revenge for 44 years is very rewarding. But you get a better game. You get Switzerland, which is a winnable game. The Swiss have been inconsistent. Algeria, Spain, I mean, you got to have a great match to get through. So just a wild ride. I will go through it one more time now that it is locked. And we know what it is. And the round of 32 starts tomorrow. One game tomorrow. Germany plays Paraguay. Actually, we'll go through it, or we know the game times, because the BBC gives me everything in their time zone, and that makes my head hurt at this point. 3:00 tomorrow, South Africa, Canada. I'm wondering what the early expectations are. Canada is a very large favorite. Tomorrow, that's the one game. On Monday, 1:00, Brazil and Japan. And Brazil is a sizable favorite, and that makes me excited about Japan. 4:30, Germany and Paraguay. And Germany is an even bigger favorite than the other two, which feels about right. And then at 9:00 on Monday, the Netherlands and Morocco. The Netherlands are a slight favorite. Slight. Maybe it's a little bit more than slight. Tuesday, 1:00, Cote d'Ivoire and Norway. Norway is this one I would say slight favorite over Cote d'Ivoire. France and Sweden. France is the biggest favorite of any of the round of 32 matches so far. Mexico and Ecuador. France, Sweden at 5:00. Mexico, Ecuador at 9. And Mexico is more than a slight favorite over Ecuador, which feels about right. I think that's the home field advantage. Wednesday, noon, DR Congo and England here in Atlanta. And England is the biggest of the favorites of the teams so far in the round of 32. 4:00, Belgium and Senegal. Belgium is a decent, I'll use the word decent here, decent favorite over Senegal. USA and Bosnia-Herzegovina. The U.S. is a very large favorite over Bosnia and Herzegovina. Maybe a little too big. Just saying. Thursday, Spain and Austria at 3:00. No odds on that one yet. Spain would be a sizable favorite. Portugal and Croatia at 7:00. Wow. Oh, well, Spain and Austria just became locked, so that's why it's not there. Portugal, Croatia. Portugal is a pretty decent favorite. I'd say a sizable favorite. And I'm not so sure on that one. I would actually probably go the 90-minute draw. Switzerland and Algeria. Switzerland will be the favorite, but we don't know by how much yet. Then the round of 32 continues on Friday. Australia and Egypt. Very even. Egypt is a extremely slight favorite. Argentina and Cabo Verde. Argentina is the biggest favorite of any of these games so far. Colombia and Ghana. Colombia is a pretty good favorite. And that's what we have so far in the round of 32. It's all booked. I almost threw me because I almost said Iran again. Because they were in with a minute to go in the match, and then they're out. And Austria was out, and then they're back in. And Algeria was into a more difficult game against Spain, and now they're into a game against Switzerland. All of that happened while we were talking about chaos here on this show, because that's what happens with AST, especially when we go into stoppage time. So thank you for the questions. Thank you for all the listenership that has been going on with these podcasts, with the YouTube shows, with the radio shows. I got great feedback from the pregame that we did ahead of the Turkey match. The ratings were very, very good. So a lot of people listening on the radio ahead of that game. Hopefully, with a little bit earlier kick time, even more people will be listening on Wednesday. We will have a special AST U.S. Men's National Team game pregame, 6 to 8 on Wednesday. Location TBD. We will be outside, but I don't know where we're going to be just yet. That is being worked on. So stay tuned on that. You'll be able to watch that game everywhere, and we will be in one of those places. That's about all I can tell you at this point, because I don't know. And that'll be after England plays here in Atlanta. So, like, it ain't done. it ain't slowing down. It's just going to continue now with more drama and more chaos and more whirlwinds and more no sleep. But tomorrow, first game's at 3:00, and there's only one game. So I think I can actually catch up on sleep a little bit before I'm back with you tomorrow night from 9 till 11, where we will really go deeper into what the round of 32 is looking like. We'll talk a lot about England. We'll talk a lot about favorites. We'll talk a lot about the U.S. and Bosnia-Herzegovina. We'll get you ready for all of that starting tomorrow night, 9 till 11 on 92.9 The Game and the Audacy app. Until then, y'all have a good rest of the night after all of that. Hopefully you can get some sleep, and I'll be back with you soon. Adios, everybody.